Listen. Perhaps you catch a hint of an ancient state, not quite forgotten, dim perhaps, and yet not altogether unfamiliar, like a song whose name is long forgotten, and the circumstances in which you heard completely unremembered. That's a little piece of the song called The Forgotten Song. And I did a CD, I did an album of Course in Miracles music. It's on Spotify, it's on all major streaming platforms. And it's called Heart and Hands by Alawa. I'll put a link to it. I'm also going to do, in another video, I'll do the whole song. I just did a little piece of it just there. This is from today's reading. Today we're reading chapter 21 of A Course in Miracles. And this chapter is called Reason and Perception. And it had, not all the chapters have an introduction, but this chapter does have an introduction. So let's read the introduction. It's kind of a famous introduction. It helps to clarify a few things. So let's read this. Projection makes perception. The world you see is what you gave it, nothing more than that. But though it is no more than that, it is not less. Therefore, to you it is important. It is the witness to your state of mind, the outside picture of an inward condition. As a man thinketh, so does he perceive. Therefore, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Perception is a result and not a cause. And that is why order of difficulty in miracles is meaningless. Everything looked upon with vision is healed and holy. Nothing perceived without it means anything. And where there is no meaning, there is chaos. Damnation is your judgment on yourself, and this you will project upon the world. See it as damned, and all you see is what you did to hurt the Son of God. If you behold disaster and catastrophe, you try to crucify him. If you see holiness and hope, you join the will of God to set him free. There is no choice that lies between these two decisions, and you will see the witness to the choice you made and learn from this to recognize which one you chose. The world you see but shows you how much joy you have allowed yourself to see in you and to accept as yours. And if this is its meaning, then the power to give it joy must lie within you. Very powerful statement. Projection makes perception. It's a key principle. Projection makes perception. What you project outward is what you see. You know, the world... what's that quote? The world... Anyway, I'm temporarily blanking. It's an inward picture of an outward picture of an inward condition. So however we choose to see the world is how we will see it. And if we choose to see the world damned in any way, that is what we will see. It'll show up because that is what we chose to see. We don't realize the power of our mind. I think that's one of the points that Jesus wants to make, is how powerful our minds are to create what we see, to create what we perceive. And if we want to see a world that is saved, a world that is not damned, a world that is loving and kind, and where the peace shines everywhere and the joy shines everywhere, we need to just change our vision and try to see more in alignment with the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit, again, is is the vision of non-judgment, of complete forgiveness for everything. And as we change our decision about what we're going to see based on which teacher we take, there are two teachers, right? There's the Holy Spirit and there's the ego. Whichever teacher we choose is what we're going to see. And if we do both of the teachers, we're going to be very confused and we're not going to see clearly. So Jesus is trying to tell us, you really only want to follow that one teacher. You only want to follow the Holy Spirit. And you have to do that. And ultimately, this course is to help you to be consistent in that choice. Consistency is key. Because who is consistent in this world? We all waver back and forth between ego and spirit, between love and fear. We're not very consistent. We're very fickle when you look at it. Our minds can easily be swayed one way or the other. But that is our choice. Jesus is trying to say, you have the choice of what you want to see, of how you're going to see. Einstein back there, he had this great quote. There's two ways you could live. One is to see that nothing is a miracle, and the other is to see that everything is a miracle. It's one of the greatest quotes ever, I think. Right? The ego is nothing is a miracle, and you're doomed and damned. And love says otherwise. Love says everything is a miracle, and everything is holy. There's nothing that is not holy. There are no sacred places, really. There are no sacred people. There are no one is more holy than anyone else. The only difference in terms of people is how much you've accepted your holiness and the holiness of everything else. That would be the only difference. Jesus, in this course, who is presenting this course, discovered, he was a man who discovered that he was fully holy. Let's put it that way. That he was holy. And in doing that, he realized that he was a man, but he was also divine. Meaning that he was one with the Father, if you want to put it that way, or one with love. He was the one love. And whether that's true or not doesn't matter. Whether Jesus really existed or the historical Jesus lines up with this doesn't matter. It is true that in the Gospel of John, Jesus says about the Holy Spirit, I'm giving you the Holy Spirit, and there's a lot of things that you can't understand right now, but you will later. And it could be that the course is the dispensation for the 20th century and beyond. That we can now understand and accept. And maybe there will be another one. Maybe there will be another, gospel. But Course in Miracles doesn't present itself as a gospel. It presents itself as a correction to the Gospels. Correction to the things that Jesus, his followers and the people that wrote the Gospels did not get at that time, right? So there needed to be a correction, and the Course in Miracles is presenting a correction, and it's really brilliant. And let's just continue with the Forgotten Song. And this is such a beautiful passage. This whole passage here is amazing. So let's just read it. Here we go. The Forgotten Song. Never forget the world the sightless quote unquote see must be imagined, for what it really looks like is unknown to them. They must infer what could be seen from evidence forever indirect, and reconstruct their inferences as they stumble and fall because of what they did not recognize, or walk unharmed through open doorways that they thought were closed. And so it is with you. You do not see. Your cues for inference are wrong, and so you stumble and fall down upon the stones you did not recognize, but fail to be aware you can go through the doors you thought were closed, but which stand open before unseeing eyes waiting to welcome you. How foolish is it to attempt to judge what could be seen instead? It is not necessary to imagine what the world must look like. It must be seen before you recognize it for what it is. You can be shown which doors are open, and you can see where safety lies, and which way leads to darkness, which to light. Judgment will always give you false directions, but vision shows you where to go. Why should you guess? There is no need to learn through pain. And gentle lessons are acquired joyously, and are remembered gladly. What gives you happiness you want to learn and not forget? What gives you happiness you want to learn and not forget? It is not this you would deny. Your question is whether the means by which this course is learned will bring to you the joy it promises. If you believed it would, the learning of it would be no problem. You are not a happy learner yet because you still remain uncertain that vision gives you more than judgment does, and you have learned that both you cannot have. The blind become accustomed to the world by their adjustments to it. They think they know their way about in it. They learned it not through joyous lessons, but through the stern necessity of limits they believed they could not overcome. And still believing this, they hold those lessons dear and cling to them because they cannot see. They do not understand the lessons keep them blind. This they do not believe. And so they keep the world they learned to, quote, see, unquote, in their imagination, believing their choice is that or nothing. They hate the world they learned through pain, and everything they think is in it serves to remind them that they are incomplete and bitterly deprived. Thus they define their life and where they live, adjusting to it as they think they must, afraid to lose the little that they have. And so it is with all who see the body as all they have and all their brothers have. They try to reach each other and they fail and fail again. And they adjust to loneliness, believing that to keep the body is to save the little that they have. Listen and try to think if you remember what we will speak of now. Listen. Perhaps you catch a hint of an ancient state not quite forgotten. Dim, perhaps, and yet not altogether unfamiliar, like a song whose name is long forgotten, and the circumstances in which you heard completely unremembered. Not the whole song has stayed with you, but just a little wisp of melody attached not to a person or a place or anything particular. But you remember from just this little part, how lovely was the song, how wonderful the setting where you heard it, and how you loved those who were there and listened with you. The notes are nothing. Yet you have kept them with you, not for themselves, but as a soft reminder of what would make you weep if you remembered how dear it was to you. You could remember, yet you are afraid, believing you would lose the world you learned since then. And yet you know that nothing in the world you learned is half so dear as this. Listen and see if you remember an ancient song you knew so long ago and held more dear than any melody you taught yourself to cherish since. Beyond the body, beyond the sun and stars, past everything you see and yet somehow familiar, is an arc of golden light that stretches as you look into a great and shining circle, and all the circle fills with light before your eyes. The edges of the circle disappear, and what is in it is no longer contained at all. The light expands and covers everything, extending to infinity, forever shining and with no break or limit anywhere. Within it, everything is joined in perfect continuity, nor is it possible to imagine that anything could be outside, for there is nowhere that this light is not. This is the vision of the Son of God, whom you know well. Here is the sight of him who knows his Father. Here is the memory of what you are, a part of this, with all of it within, and joined to all as surely as all is joined to you. Accept the vision that can show you this, and not the body. You know the ancient song and know it well. Nothing will ever be as dear to you as is this ancient hymn of love the Son of God sings to his Father still. And now the blind can see, for that same song they sing in honor of the Creator gives praise to them as well. The blindness that they made will not withstand the memory of this song, and they will look upon the vision of the Son of God, remembering who he is they sing of. What is a miracle but this remembering? And who is there in whom this memory lies not? The light in one awakens it in all, and when you see it in your brother, you are remembering for everyone. Those 3 paragraphs there that started with listen, perhaps you catch a hint. That was the forgotten song. And then there's that beautiful passage, beyond the body, beyond the sun and stars. Like I said, I'm going to do another video where I sing this. So stay tuned for that. I'm probably going to combine a couple songs. Thinking aloud right now. Thinking is allowed, by the way. The forgotten song. What can we say? I did another song recently, a beautiful song. It's maybe, it is a beautiful song, but maybe beautiful is not the best word for it. It's a brilliant song. It's called Cruel to Be Kind. It's by Nick Lowe from 1979. It came out, and it went to number 12 in the United States, which is a big feat actually for a song to, from basically this guy was considered to be a one-hit wonder. He actually wrote a lot of great songs, but this is his only real hit in the U.S. Cruel to Be Kind, and it was a very big hit when I was 9 years old. In 79, it was a big hit. Cruel to Be Kind is a brilliant song, partly because, and I said this before in a previous video, but I'm going to say it again right now. The message is not you have to be cruel to be kind. But the message is you don't have to be cruel to be kind. That's one of the interesting things about the song, is that the chorus is you have to be cruel to be kind, but the verses belie that. The verses subvert what the chorus is saying, because everyone listens to the chorus. Who listens to the verses? Especially when you're young, you don't listen to what the guy's actually saying. You only listen to, you gotta be cruel to be kind, in the right measure, cruel to be kind, it's a very good sign. So that's what Jesus is saying here. He says, there is no need to learn through pain. And gentle lessons are acquired joyously and are remembered gladly. What gives you happiness you want to learn and not forget. It is not this you would deny. Your question is whether the means by which this course is learned will bring to you the joy it promises. If you believed it would, the learning of it would be no problem. You don't need to learn through pain. This is another way of saying, this is Jesus' way of saying, you don't need to find joy through fear, like the fear of God. Like if you don't believe this gospel, if you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to go to hell, which is really an insane idea. And this whole idea that Jesus was only coming for the elect, right? There's only these these guys over here that are going to believe in me, and everyone else is damned. It really comes across that way. That if you don't believe in Jesus, I mean, it's clearly there in the Gospels. And Jesus is coming to correct this. He's coming to correct this insanity. It's insanity. He's saying, at the end of this, he says, what does he say? He says, and now the blind can see. For that same song they sing in honor of the Creator gives praise to them as well. The blindness that they made will not withstand the memory of the song. And they will look upon the vision of the Son of God, remembering who he is they sing of. What is a miracle but this remembering? And who is there in whom this memory lies not? Everyone. Everyone has this memory. Not just the elect. It's in everyone. It's in you, and it's in me, and it's in everyone. The light in one awakens it in all. And when you see it in your brother, you are remembering for everyone. Because you're helping everyone to remember. And there is only one. There's only one of us here. So you do not need, again, this is a cure through love, not fear. Jesus is Jesus is presenting a course that is wholly loving. You can't say the same for the Gospels. The Gospels are a mixed bag. The whole Bible is a mixed bag. Sometimes God seems to be very cruel. Sometimes Jesus even seems to be cruel. And then he says things that are opposite, and you kind of scratch your head and you wonder, which Jesus is it? But Jesus in the Course is very consistent. He's nothing except if not consistent. And he's saying very clearly, you do not need to learn through pain. You do not need to learn through fear. You do not need to learn through judgment. You do not need to learn through cruelty. If you want joy, you have to learn through joy. Right? Does not make sense? How would you learn to be joyful through pain? So I'm going to stop there because there's so much we could say about this, but the responsibilities for sight is next, and I'm going to do that song here in a moment. I'm going to get my act together. See you soon. Thank you. Shalom.